When people use the word perimeter in everyday language, they're talking about the boundary of some area. And when we talk about perimeter in math, we're talking about a related idea. But now we're not just talking about the boundary, we're actually talking about the length of the boundary. How far do you have to go around the boundary to essentially go completely around the figure, completely go around the area? So let's look at this first triangle right over here. It has 3 sides, that's why it's a triangle. So what's its perimeter? Well, here all the sides are the same. So the perimeter for this triangle is going to be 4 plus 4 plus 4, and whatever units this is. If this is 4 feet, 4 feet, and 4 feet, then it would be 4 feet plus 4 feet plus 4 feet is equal to 12 feet. Now I encourage you to now pause the video and figure out the perimeters of these 3 figures. Well, it's the exact same idea. We would just add the lengths of the sides. So let's say that these distances, let's say they're in meters. So let's say that this is 3 meters, and this is also 3 meters. This is a rectangle here. So this is 5 meters. This is also 5 meters. So what is the perimeter of this rectangle going to be? What is the distance around the rectangle that bounds this area? Well, it's going to be 3 plus 5 plus 3 plus 5, which is equal to, let's see, that's 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 5 plus 5 is 10. So that is equal to 16. And if we're saying these are all in meters, then it's going to be 16 meters. Now what about this pentagon? Let's say that each of these sides are 2, and I'll make up a unit here. Let's say they're 2 GNUs. 2 GNUs. That's a new unit a new unit of distance that I have just invented. 2 GNUs. 2 GNUs. So what is the perimeter of this pentagon in GNUs? Well, it's 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 GNUs. Or we're essentially taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 GNUs, 5 sides, each have a length of 2 GNUs. So the perimeter here, we could add 2 repeatedly, 5 times, or you could just say this is 5 times 2 GNUs, which is equal to 10 GNUs, where a GNU is a completely made up unit of length that I just made up. Here we have a more irregular polygon, but same exact idea. How would you figure out its perimeter? Well, you just add up the lengths of its sides. And here I'll just do it unitless. I'll just assume that this is some generic units. And here the perimeter will be 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2. Let me scroll over to the right a little bit. Plus 4 plus 6. So what is this going to be equal to? 1 plus 4 is 5. Plus 2 is 7, plus 2 is 9, plus 4 is 13, plus 6 is 19. So this figure has a perimeter of 19 in whatever units these distances are actually given.
What is the perimeter of the figure below? So down here we have this figure, and we are asked to find the perimeter of this figure. Perimeter is the distance all the way around the outside of a shape. So in this case, if I were to walk around the outside, or maybe a human's too big, if an awesome little ant was to walk all the way around the outside of this figure, how far she walked would be the perimeter. So to find that, what we can do is figure out how long is this side, and then combine it with the length of this side, and combine it with the length of this side. And once we combine all of the side lengths, we'll have the perimeter, or the distance around the outside of the figure. So let's start. We can start up here. We can see that this side length is 5 centimeters. So we have 5 centimeters. Plus, moving down the side here, we have another 3 centimeters. And then going across, next distance is 4 centimeters. After that, we go down this side right here, which is another 4 centimeters. And as we keep going across the bottom, we have another 9 centimeters. And then we head up this side, and we don't have a label. We don't know how far this is. But to find perimeter, we need the distance around the entire outside. If this little ant, she walked the whole way, we've got to know the entire distance she walked. So what we can do is, we can look over here and say if this length right here is 3 centimeters, well then that same length over here is also 3 centimeters. And where that 3 centimeters left off, this 4 centimeters, this length picked up. So from here to here is another 4 centimeters. So if we have 4 centimeters plus another 3 centimeters, that's a total of 7 more centimeters. So now we know the entire, all of the lengths around the outside. So if we combine them or add them, we'll know the perimeter. So we can start 5 plus 3 is 8. 4 plus 4 is another 8. 9 plus 7, let's see, instead of 7, I could do 9 plus 1 and 6, because that's the same as 7. 9 plus 1 is 10, and 10 plus 6 is 16. 8 plus 8 is another 16, so we have a 16 and a 16. 16, let's see, 6 ones plus 6 more ones is 12 ones. And 1 10 plus another 10, or 10 plus 10 is 20. So another way we could add this is 20 plus 12, which is a total of 32. And we were talking about centimeters here, so 32 centimeters. The distance all the way around the outside of this figure, or the perimeter of the figure, is 32 centimeters. The perimeter of the figure is 24 centimeters. What is the length of the missing side? So we're told this figure down here has a perimeter of 24 centimeters. The perimeter is 24 centimeters. So what that tells us is that the distance around the entire outside is 24 centimeters. But what we want to know is what is the length of the missing side? Well, the missing side is going to be the side we're not told, so it will be this one here because we have this question mark. It's missing, it is not labeled. So we've got to figure out what number should go on this missing side so that the entire length is 24 centimeters. So let's start with what we do know. We know that this top length, this top side has a length of 6 centimeters. Plus, going down the left has a length of 5 more centimeters. Plus, across the bottom is 4 more centimeters. And the last known side is another 4 centimeters. So when we add all those plus this mystery side, we should get a perimeter of 24. The entire distance, all of this, the 6 plus the 5 plus the 4 plus the 4 plus this mystery number should get us to a perimeter of 24. So let's add over here and try to make it a little simpler to find our missing side. I can add in any order, and I love making tens, so I'm going to say 6 and 4 is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15, and 15 plus 4 more is 19. So we know where 19 centimeters come from on this shape. Here's the 19 centimeters are here outlined in blue. So how many more centimeters, what length must this missing side be to get us a total distance around the outside of 24 centimeters? We can do that math. 19 plus 1 more is 20, and then plus 4 more to 24. So 1 more to 20 and 4 more. That's a total of 5 more. So the missing side length is 5 centimeters. This side right here must be 5 centimeters in order for the total perimeter to be 24. Okay, let's look at one more. This time it says that the perimeter of a rectangle is 32 meters and one side is 11 meters. What is the length of the missing side? So again, we have a missing side. So let's visualize this. Let's draw ourselves a rectangle here. This is what a rectangle looks like. And we know that one side is 11 centimeters. So one side is 11, or meters, excuse me. And because we know that this side is 11 meters, we also know that this side is 11 meters. On a rectangle, opposite sides are equal. So those two we know. But what we don't know are this top and the bottom. Those are the missing sides. So what are those side lengths? Well, again, we know we have a perimeter of 32 meters. We're told right here perimeter is 32 meters. So the question is 11 plus 11 for these two sides, 11 and 11, plus some mystery number, and then plus that same mystery number, because these two sides are equal, and that has to give us a total of equals 32, because 32 is the total distance around the outside. So let's add the 11s. 11 plus 11 is 22. So 22 plus, how many more gets us to 32? Well, 22 plus 10 more is 32. But if we label one of these sides as 10, then the other one would have to be 0. So they have to be equal. So how can we equally split those 10 meters between the two sides? Half of 10 is 5. So these sides are each 5 meters. 22, 5 plus 5 is 10. 22 plus 10 is 32. So the missing side length is 5 meters.
Charles built a rectangular table that has a perimeter of 20 feet and an area of 24 square feet. The table is longer than it is wide. What are the length and width of the table? The length and width are whole numbers. So it's longer than it is wide. So let's draw this table here. So the table might look something like this. Where this dimension right over here is the length. So this distance right over here is the length. We could also write length here if we want to show that this is the same, these two sides have the same length. And then we could call this dimension right over here, this is the width. This is the width, and this is also, of course, the width as well. This is a rectangle. So these two sides are going to be the same. Now they tell us that the perimeter is 20 feet, which is another way of saying that the width plus the width plus the length plus the length plus the length is equal to 20. And they tell us that the area is 24 square feet. That's another way of saying that the width times the length is going to be 24. So we could write that down. Width times the length is going to be equal to 24. Now there's a lot of ways to solve this problem, and later on when you learn more algebra, there's fancy algebraic ways to do that, but we won't have to resort to this. They tell us that the length and width are whole numbers, so we really should just be able to try out some numbers, because we know that the width times the length is 24. So we just have to try out all of the whole numbers that when I were to take their product, I get to 24, essentially the factors of 24, and then figure out which of those satisfy the perimeter up here, where if I take the width plus the width, essentially 2 times the width plus 2 times the length, I am going to get to 20. So let's figure that out. So let me make 2 columns here. So one column, I'm going to call it a width column. Another column, I'm going to call it length. And then I'm going to write down the perimeter. I'll write perimeter. I'll just shorten it with per, maybe peri. I'll just write out the whole word, perimeter. And then let's write out area. Actually, I could write it just like that. And let me try out, make it a table here. So I have a table here, and then I can try things out. And what we can do is just make sure that everything we try out has an area of 24 square feet. So let's just think about the factors of 24. Well, it could be 1 and 24. So this literally could be a width of 1 and a length of 24. 1 times 24 is 24. And they tell us that the length is longer, longer than the width, that the table is longer than it is wide. So we want the larger number under length. So let's see, 1 times 24 is 24. But what is 1 plus 1 plus 24 plus 24? Well, that's going to be 2 plus 48, which is 50. So this doesn't meet our condition that the perimeter is 20. So let's cross that out. So this one right over here does not work out. Let's try the other factors of 24. It could be 2 and 12. Once again, 2 times 12 is 24. But what's 2 plus 2? It's 4 plus 12 plus 12. So it's 4 plus 24. That's going to be 28. Well, that doesn't meet our perimeter constraint. So that's not going to be right. Well, what about, let's see, 3 times 8 is also equal to 24. And what's 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 8 plus 8 is 16, 6 plus 16 is 22. Well, we're getting close, but it's still not a perimeter of 20. So that's not going to be right. Now, what about 4 and 6? Once again, 4 times 6 is 24. And what's 4 plus 4 plus 6 plus 6? Well, that's 8 plus 12, which is indeed equal to 20. So that works out. Our width is going to be 4 feet, and our length is going to be 6 feet. Mike built a rectangular dog pen that is 21 feet long and has a perimeter of 78 feet. What is the width of Mike's dog pen? So let's draw what it might look like. So it might look something like this. Do my best to draw it. A rectangular potential dog pen. So let's say that this is the dog pen right over here. And they give us its length. Its length is 21 feet. Its length is 21 feet. So this distance right over here is 21 feet. And of course, if that distance is 21 feet, this distance is also going to be 21 feet. Now they also tell us that the perimeter is 78 feet. So the perimeter is 78 feet. 78 feet. So we need to figure out the width. And the width would be this length, or this width, I should say. This width, which is going to be the same thing as that width right over here. So let's think about, and we know how we figure out the perimeter. If we added this distance, 21 feet, to this distance, the width, plus 21 feet to the width again, we're going to get to 78 feet. So one way to back into what the width is to say, well, look, if we sum up all of these lengths, we're going to get 28 feet. So let's at least subtract these two orange lengths, the 221 feet, from the 78 feet. And then we figure out how much length, essentially, these two widths have to make up. So let's subtract. Let's do 78 minus 21 minus 21. And what's that going to be equal to? So that's 78 minus 42. And 78 minus 42, I don't want to make a careless mistake. 78 minus 42 is going to get me to 36. So this is equal to 36. And let's remind ourselves what 36 is, what 36 feet is. That's the total length, or I should say the total width, if we were to take the width down here and add it to the width up here. Now we know something else. These are the exact same width. That this distance is the same as this distance. And if we add them together, we get to 36. So what are two distances, or what are two numbers that I can add together to get to 36? Well, we know that 18 plus 18, we know that 18 plus 18 is equal to 36. So this one down here must be 18, and this one up here must also be 18. And we can verify that. Try adding all of these up together. You add the two widths, you get 18 plus 18, and you add the two lengths, plus 21 plus 21, and you are left with 36, which is exactly what we got here. This is what we needed the two widths to add up to, plus 42, which is, of course, equal to 36 plus 42 is equal to 78, which is the perimeter.